Hey there, everybody. Welcome back with the Plat, and I've remembered to unmute myself this time. I just recorded this whole video without unmuting my mic, so F's in chat, please. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about 5 things I would like to see improved or implemented into Octopath COTC. Really quick before we jump into it, 2 things. One, I'm not mentioning anything about pricing structure or rubies. That's just kind of stuff that seems obvious to me. Like, yes, we want things to be cheaper. We want more rubies. I also felt like those were a bit unrealistic, and I'm not optimistic about those. So I tried to keep this list of things that I felt were relatively, we could be hopeful for, to say the least. And also, if there's anything that I didn't mention here that you really would like to see improved or implemented, please leave a comment about it. Let me know. Maybe I could do a follow-up video, yada, yada, blah, blah, with, chat and or comments that you guys leave. Anyway, number 1, and I'm not gonna sit through this again because it took forever. It's the loading times to get into the game. Now, I don't know if you guys have timed it, but it could take anywhere from like 1 to 3 minutes to get in from the initial loading screen. Like, once you get from when I hit the app button, from when I hit this, boom, to like, then I have to wait for the game to pop up after all this stuff, da da da, and then the song starts. This is huge. What's going on? Then you have to click to load. This thing is going fucking crazy. It's not that important right now for the game though. It could take several minutes. I actually had to go into the settings on my phone and increase the time it took for my phone to go into sleep mode, because it would go into sleep before it was done loading into the game. And then I would log in to someone to be loaded in. Sometimes it would mess up, so I'd have to go out and do it again. That sucks. So loading times. I hope this is something that gets addressed. I don't know, like, if this is something that's easy to fix or hard to fix, but I feel like this is definitely something that would just be, it would be a nice quality of life thing. Another thing, though, that I think would be very easy to fix, like they have 100% power, just some knobs, just address it, is the rewards we're getting from the ad cates. Now, I am referring to both experience and the treasure, like the crafty cates and the treasure, but really more emphasis on the treasure. The crafty cates, 50,000, 100,000, 300,000, those are all like still pretty fine. They're not like, none of them are great, but they're all like, okay, cool. I could use it to level up 3 stars, 4 stars. My main squad, it doesn't help them that much. I get more from hunts, but it's still like, whatever. It's still there and it's still nice. But the treasures, what a stink show. I'm giving up 30 seconds of my time for like 5,000 leaves. Like, I know you can get gems from this, or I know you can get rubies from this, but like, it's very rare. And then most of the time it's shit. Like, we already know they could detect the power level in account to some extent, because crafty cates level up as you level up with the highest level on your account. So like, maybe like once you have a level 85 or you have a level 75, whatever, the Kate treasures takes leaves completely out of the pool of what you can get. More silver guide stones, more gold guide stones, even bronze guide stones, because they could be converted. More rubies. There's things that are like good, but like getting shit like leaves is the absolute worst. Another thing that I think would be great for the quality of life, and it can't be that hard. Dragon Quest Tact did it. Have the equipment and the skills be party specific. All right. So let's say I'm using a det on this team. Let's say I have 1 battle tested tome and I'm using a det on this team. And then on this team, I have Sophia and I want her to have the battle tested tome. I shouldn't have to like unequip the battle tested tome from a det on team 1, unless they're in the same thing. Unless they're in the same team and I have 1 tome trying to use it on 2 characters, then I understand. Dragon Quest Tact that I used to play had this, where if you tried to use the same equipment on 2 characters, it would have a red box show up and be like, hey, you can't start this fight until you remove one of these equipments because this is the same equipment equipped. So that's like very reasonable. But if it's like not even in the same party, I'm not doubling up on equipment. Why do I have to go in here, go into Sophia, unequip it off a det, and then remember later to come back when I use a det again and re-equip that? Same exact thing with like the skills in the same character, right? A det, right, is the perfect example because I have like a bunch of wind attacks on her right now. But if I wanted to go farm Tickle, I would want a bunch of light attacks on her right now. So the fact that I have to go in between and change all of her stuff in between different fights that I'm doing all the time is very annoying and completely unnecessary. Now, it's not like the be all end all. This is why this is quality of life stuff, and not saying like that doesn't make the game worse, but I think it would like really, really help with just the flow of just trying to grind stuff and then going between things, because sometimes I want this for this fight, sometimes I want that for that fight. Okay, now I gotta change. Now if I wanted to go farm tickle, I gotta change this team's equipment, I gotta change some of their abilities. Which abilities did I use before? Was I using, Viola with her double wide burst, or was I going, was I not using that because of the physical counter? I don't really remember, so I have to go look at one of my old videos to see what I was using. So it's like something that just like, it kind of sucks, but it's not like terrible, but I would very much like to see this improved. Now besides that, this is one that I think would be nice, and it can't be that hard. We have this memoir section we already have the ability to read, we have these fights for the arena. Why not add the main story boss fights? Why not add the Master of Wealth, the Master of Power, Master of Fame boss fights in here? And then like the Pardis fights and, the Jester and whatever, like every kind of like main story boss fight. I think it would be fun to just be able to replay it for two reasons. One, it'd be fun to replay it with weaker characters, see if you can clear them with all 3 stars as like a challenge or whatever. But also it'd be fun to just kind of slap the shit out of these fights to compare like how hard it was when you did the fight to how hard it is now. Like Pardis is a great example. That was a pretty tough fight. Master of All, whatever, chapter 8 was like a really hard fight for a lot of people. But now, like, my account's way stronger. Like I may have no issues in that fight whatsoever. And that would be awesome. Like to be able to just be like, yeah, look at this. This is the power creep my account has had over this fucking game. Fuck you. And we already have a whole section of the game dedicated to it, right? We have all these things. Like, I don't know where you'd organize it. I mean, we have a Master of Fame tab that has one thing in it. Why not add a second thing here, that lets us redo the fight? Anyway, I just think that would be nice. And finally, this is something that's been a repeat issue that I think should be addressed. And this is just the wording needing to be more clear on their stuff. We've had lots of issues with things being said in notices that are like, oh, sorry for the miscommunication on this, miscommunication on that, or just like straight up discrepancies in the past, like, oh, we were wrong about I don't, we can go back to the past and find it, but there was like the early on, right, there was something that's like was just straight up wrong, and then there's other times where they'll say things but it could be interpreted in more than one way, and they're not clearing it up. It's like they think they're on Twitter and they're afraid to use more words, but here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about here. Step 1 will be made free to perform. Now, the way this is, if you read this, I read this as step 1 will be made free to perform, which is exactly what it says. Meaning every single time you do the next step up banner coming out, step 1 will be made free to perform. Now, this could all, because that seems so generous, it does mean that we don't know if it means generous, in a gotcha, but still, we don't know if step 1 will be free to perform every time or only the first time. The way this is worded, it implies every time, but just to like, they could have fixed it both ways. Like, I wish they had someone kind of read over this and like try to find out where the questions will come, how things could be interpreted in a realistic realm, because like this could have just been said, they could have cleared it all up saying step 1 will be made to perform. This includes every run of the step up banner, or step 1 will be made free to perform the first run of the step up banner. Like they could have just put like an extra little bit of words to completely remove all questions. So now we're sitting on our, we're sitting on our hands. Either way, we don't know for a week what it's going to be. So I don't even know if I could recommend if people are going to pull on it many times or not at all. Like, we don't really know what the banner is going to be, because even though this does read pretty clear, it's not clear enough based off, because this is the thing. If this was a different game, I would read that and I would know that this means step 1 is made free to perform. And that means all times you do it. But because of inconsistent wording and unclear communication in the past, now I'm skeptical that they're actually saying what they mean, and that maybe this is just meant to be, we're meant to imply something else. I don't know, but it's because the person that wrote this knows what they mean. And we're not in their head. We don't know exactly what they mean. So this would be something that'd be nice. Just more clear, concise wording. Don't be afraid to use more words to really spell it out. Especially in something like a gacha where people are dropping hundreds of dollars every few weeks. Like individuals are dropping I mean, I know people that drop hundreds of dollars every banner, right? Like that's a lot of money. Just the least you could do is really make sure all the information is clearly presented in a way that can't be misinterpreted by anyone, because a misinterpretation could cost someone lots of money. And I think that's the bare minimum that the game could do. Anyway, those are going to be my 5 things. Guys, leave anything I didn't mention that really you want to see improved or fixed or implemented down below. I will see you next time. For Platypus is Purplatypus. Peace out. You have a good day.